So in this video, I'm going to be talking about the 3 early business mistakes I made, and here's some things you should consider yourself. First is going to be bookkeeping. As a creator, we're just looking to make that money, right? We're not looking to track expenses. Who does that, right? At the end of the year, all right, what's the tax bill? We'll just pay it. Biggest mistake I made. And it wasn't until 2022 where I decided, okay, we're taking taxes seriously. Like, we want to scale, we want to grow, we want to take things to that next level. What are people that are running successful businesses have that I am missing? And one of those things was having a form of bookkeeping, having a tracker, having something like QuickBooks. My ego was like, nah, I don't need QuickBooks. My company's different. I'm different. I need to use a different software. And so tying both together of not having bookkeeping, but also the ego of I need to use different software because I'm a different company. If anything, it caused more headaches than convenience. So if you're like me and you think you need to be using different software to have a competitive edge, like, what does bookkeeping do for your business? It's just tracking. That's all it is. Why do you need a different software to track? It's not like you're performing differently. All it is just tracking your bookkeeping, right? So I use QuickBooks for mine. Have a professional set up your QuickBooks. I had my accountant, my CPA set mine up. It's been the best thing I ever did. It cost me less than $1,000. It's worth the investment, trust me, because it'll save you headaches with the IRS. And if you do end up having some issue, I had an issue with the IRS at one point 2 years ago. I was able to, at that time I was tracking, so everything was taken care of. I didn't actually have to pay additional that year. And if I wasn't tracking, it probably would have cost me, let's just say $10,000. So that's number one. That's the early business mistake I made, which was trying to use different softwares because my ego told me I had to be different, and then also bookkeeping. Those go hand in hand, right? So use something that works, use something reliable. If you want my recommendation, it's gonna be QuickBooks. Second lesson, being the cheapest option is never good. So when you're in the creative field, you're always competing, especially depending on the market that you're in, the industry that you're trying to serve. When you're starting out, you think that being the cheapest option is always the good thing, but it's actually the worst thing you can do for your company, because you're in one of two places. You don't know your worth, and you think of a number that you think you would like to be worth, which secretly is your worth, and then you lower it because then you feel like, all right, I don't want to be full of myself, or I don't want to be that guy that thinks he's better than he is, so I'm going to lower it. So now all you're doing is just underpricing. You're just undervaluing yourself. So every time someone pays that price, it might feel good because you had never closed the deal before. So anything is better than nothing. So you might be at that stage where it's just like, hey, I'll take anything, and just to prove that I'm worth something. But what ends up happening very quickly is, if you're trying to run a successful business and grow your business, you start to realize, like, I can't even live off of this myself. And then I'm also trying to grow this thing, make an impact, all this other stuff. Chris Do, founder of The Future, who helps creatives like yourself, he talks about how that money, instead of seeing it as going to yourself, see it as serving your clients better. If you can, forget money for a second, but if you can create an experience and an environment for your clients, what would that look like? What would you add? So for us, it's about having coffee on set all the time. So like, that's a non-negotiable. That's a few dollars that we're dishing out. But again, that's part of the experience. So that's something I added to our productions. You can add something different. But it was like, I wanted to have that experience. I wanted to have that culture. So it all starts with the thought of, what do you want for yourself, right? And then working backwards. Oh, wow, I actually need money in order for that thing to happen. Find out how much it costs. Then you're able to strip the ego away of, oh, I'm making all this money. Well, no, you're not. This money's going towards this. And then obviously you have to make money yourself for your time, your value, but also what the company has to make a profit as well. So when you're the cheapest option, you can't do things like that, where you're creating a better experience for your clients. And deep down, your clients not, especially if they value what you do. This is the most important part. If they value what you do, they don't want to pay the cheapest price. I'm gonna talk from experience. I just moved here to Austin, Texas. I chose the cheapest option for car shipping, right? Because I didn't value it that much. Because for me, it's like, I don't do this often. Number one, I'm never gonna ship my car again probably, or I won't do this for another 20 years until I move or something like that. So why am I gonna dish out all this money? Right? So if you're a creative and you're trying to work with people, or you're trying to, let's say, invest in something, like, you have to realize what's worth investing, especially if it's gonna be recurring. It might be worth going with a higher option because I'm gonna constantly use this thing. So that was the reflection for me. But in my case, with the car shipment, I wasn't doing this on a recurring basis. But I'll tell you what happened. I ended up choosing the cheapest option. It was a $700 option, take my car from New Jersey to Texas. And I ran into this thing where the day before my car was supposed to ship, they call me saying, hey, we have two options for you. It's either 900 or 1,000. But I had gone with them because they were the cheapest option. Long story short, this company, shitty company, they just did not, like, they just false advertised. They claimed they were gonna give me this rate, but then I had to pay this rate. And so what I ended up doing was calling other companies. They were giving me that rate that they were offering, the higher rate. So from 700, I ended up paying 1,000. But I'm like, I'm not paying this 1,000 to the company that just did me dirty. I'm gonna give the 1,000 to a company that's keeping it straight from day one. So I did that, and that's how I learned the hard way. The cheapest option is never the best. And if you think about your own experiences of when you bought something, especially stuff that you value, again, I can't emphasize this enough, not everyone values content. If you're watching this video, you obviously do, but not everyone values content. And so you don't want to work with people that don't value your content. I'll give you another example of never being the cheapest option. I had worked with this athlete. Hey, this is how much it's gonna cost. You want photo, video, follow you around for a day, capture content for you. This is how much it's gonna cost. Some reason it got lost in translation, and this is another lesson for you. I didn't put anything in paperwork because it was just like a last minute thing. It was, a quick transaction. And this person came recommended by someone else, so I had a level of trust where I didn't necessarily need to put a contract in place. So we end up, doing the job, getting paid, and there's still a remainder amount. And I had the day when I left this meeting after this shoot, I was like, hey, I'll send you an invoice with the remaining amount, and that's also what he understood. Okay, yep, sounds good. I send him the remaining amount. He texts me, he says, hey, this is higher than I expected. Mind you, on the phone, I was very clear about what it was gonna cost. But anyway, that's just another lesson for you of if you're gonna do business and you wanna also have a successful relationship, a long-term relationship with an individual, take the time to do your due diligence of creating a contract or creating a terms and conditions, being very clear so both parties have the expectation are gonna meet the reality, right? So, then, basically we end up doing the work. He ends up loving the work. He ends up saying, hey, we're like, this is probably the last time we're gonna work together because you're too expensive. And I was like, cool, man. Listen, it was a cool opportunity. No harm, no foul. Send him the work. He likes the work. And he's like, we're definitely gonna work together again. Now, mind you, this guy's getting paid millions of dollars, but he just doesn't value the content. And that's fine. I realize he's not my ideal person. He doesn't value the personal branding. Maybe not yet. Maybe now, as he starts to get higher levels and starts to realize how personal branding is so powerful, he's like, oh no, now I understand the investment. He just wasn't an educated buyer to understand the true value of the content. And so again, I don't blame him, but it was a lesson for me to learn that imagine if I did become the cheapest option though, and just because I wanted to work with him, I don't know if I would be fulfilled. I don't know if I'd be happy. And I'll be honest, it was a cool opportunity, but it didn't bring me fulfillment. And so I prioritize fulfillment over a quick transaction. So that's business mistake number 2, and then also some other nuggets in there. Number 3, and this one's probably the most important, I think, for someone that's trying to grow or doesn't know where to start, is so the biggest mistake I made was looking up to just one person. having just one mentor. There was someone in my life that I truly looked up to, and I saw their life and I was like, wow, I want to be them. I want to have what they have. And on the surface, he looks calm and ready to drop bombs. No, I'm kidding. On the surface, his life seems a certain way. And especially for someone that's figuring things out, I might seem like I want that. But then you start to realize everything has a cost to it. And when you start to realize, are you willing to pay the cost to have this one thing? Your answer might be no, and that's okay. But the person that you're looking up to is yes, they're willing to pay that cost and get that outcome. And you know how they say like never meet your heroes? It's just, for me, there were certain elements of this individual that I admired and still admire, still respect, but I don't want to be a carbon copy. And you don't want to have that either. Everyone talks about not putting your eggs in one basket. Even you watching this video, probably trying to, find different resources, find different things. Don't take everything I say as Bible. Don't take everything I say as like the only way. This is just my experience. Take bits and pieces. That what has allowed me to gain the clarity of making certain decisions, because I'm open. I'm an open individual that will take feedback from so many different people, even if I am aligned with them or not, because it just makes me question. And then if you can become more concrete on why you do what you do, it just reinforces your passion and your impact that you're trying to do. So that is the 3 mistakes is to recap: focusing on the wrong things, which was buying certain softwares to be different. Again, function over looks. If it works, especially for things like bookkeeping, do that. Invest in function. Being the cheapest option is never good. Don't be the cheapest option. Don't be the cheapest option. Being the cheapest option is never good, especially if you value what you do. And last but not least is looking up to one mentor. Have multiple mentors. Have an open mind. Be open to how two mentors, for example, they believe in this one thing, the other mentor believes in this other thing, and it contradicts both. Maybe you can find a middle one. Maybe you can find a different, you can become your own mentor in a way, where it's like, wow, like I came to the conclusion because I took both of these experiences and I came to the conclusion of this one thing, and that becomes your North Star. That becomes your own thought. That's gonna be it for this video. A little quick one. If you like more content like this, let me know down in the comments, or any type of questions you might have. So if there's certain things you're interested in knowing, let me know, leave them in the comments, and I'll be sure to create a video for that. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.